If I watch the tight end on this play, you're going to see how once he crosses the field, there's nobody covering him at all, as this linebacker is just covering a spot and lets him run right past him. And this curl flat here is doing the same thing, covering nobody while this guy's just running wide open down the field. And now with that one small adjustment, you're going to see how this same zone defender will now turn and run, matching with this tight end the entire length of the field and completely taking him away. If you guys are looking for fast, cheap, reliable coins for your college football 25 team, check out my coin sponsors at MMOXP and use discount code MONEYSHOT for 5% off your order. Link in the description below. The champ is here! Welcome back, Money Team. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys 5 things you need to do more often for better defense in college football 25 and Madden 25. But before I get into that, as always, if you guys want to see more videos like this, more tip videos, please make sure to be a subscriber, hit the like button, let me know in the comments section. If you guys need more help or more money plays, you can download any of my ebooks instantly simply by clicking links in the description or the top pinned comment. Now, the first thing I want to talk about that I don't think people are doing enough is setting up their depth chart properly to maximize their defense. And I say that because every time I go into an online game and I try to set up my depth chart, my opponent hits the button to go right back in the game, giving me only 30 seconds, which lets me know that not enough people are doing this. But there's a lot of advantages to be had if you know what to look for. So I'm going to tell you guys what attributes to look for every defensive position, but I already did make a full breakdown video going over offense and defense in more detail. So if you guys want to see more, I'll have links in the description as well as on screen at the end of the video, so stick around for that. But speed is king at every position. So if you have a guy like this, a defensive end or a defensive tackle that only has 50 speed, that's not going to catch a running back or a quarterback if they're trying to pass rush. So I will at no point play a guy that's this slow. Now, when it comes to defensive ends probably get your pass rush the most. So you want to make sure you have your fastest guys, because they also have to maintain the edge. If somebody's running to the outside, typically you're going to need a fast defensive end to chase them down. So speed is very important on the edge, but you're not just stuck to defensive ends, as outside linebackers are often going to be better answers. You can see right here, our top 2 outside linebackers both have 83 and 85 speed. I want those guys going after the quarterback and maintaining my edge when it comes to running, no matter what defense I'm playing, whether I'm playing 3-4 or 4-3. These are the guys that I want going after the quarterback more especially. Now, the most important grades when it comes to edge rushers or pass rushers in general, as far as getting off their blocks and getting after the quarterback, is going to be power move and finesse move. When it comes to defensive tackles, block shedding will be the most important thing, but these are going to be the 3 where you're going to look for the highest ratings in all 3 to decide who to play, aside from, of course, speed. When it comes to linebackers, speed is going to be king, because you're, once again, not going to want somebody that's going to be too slow to cover in space. But other than that, the most important things are going to be man coverage and zone coverage, and that really depends on what type of defense you play. If you play mostly man coverage, you're going to want high man coverage defenders playing. If you play mostly zone coverage like I do, and I think most people do, you're going to want mostly high zone coverage defenders playing. And that's also going to be the same thing when it comes to cornerbacks, speed, and things like height. As I have a 6'2" cornerback here, obviously going to be important, but after that, you just want to basically match the highest man or zone coverage grades to whatever specific style of defense you play, and that also includes safeties. For my next tip, the best coverage to use is going to be matching coverage, and that's pretty much any matching coverage. If you're running cover 3, but you're running cover 3 sky instead of cover 3 match, your coverage is going to be much less effective. On this first play, I just picked a random cover 3 drop to show you guys the difference on how this defense will react compared to cover 3 match. On this first play, you can see that the curl flats are the main difference, as cover 3 match typically has seam flats. Seam flats will follow, but curl flats will just drop back into a space. If I watch the tight end on this play, you're going to see how once he crosses the field, there's nobody covering him at all, as this linebacker is just covering a spot and lets him run right past him. And this curl flat here is doing the same thing, covering nobody while this guy's just running wide open down the field. Now, if we switch over to a cover 3 match, let's see how this defense reacts differently. And now with that one small adjustment, you can see the difference, as this linebacker here is going to man this tight end and follow him the entire length of the field, completely taking him away. Just make sure that you don't do something like setting your zone drops and your coaching adjustments, or this will reset your cover 3 match back to a regular cover 3 drop. For my next tip, if you're still using a defensive lineman, there's only so much of the game that you can actually affect, as it's most important to play as somebody in coverage, as this is the best way to affect the entire field, whether your opponent is running or passing. A lot of people think that you should just use the middle linebacker or the safety every single time, but the truth is the best player to use is going to be the player with the least amount of responsibility on any given play. And that's because because it will give you the most freedom to roam and react to what you see. On this play here, the player with the least responsibility is actually the quarter flat defender, and that's because all the receivers are on the right side of the field, with only one receiver on the left side that's on the open side of the field, which means that since I'm running a matching coverage, I know the deep zone in front of him is going to most likely match that receiver. When using on defense, all you really have to do is try to cut off throwing lanes to the closest receivers to the quarterback, but you don't necessarily want to leave your assigned area. So on this next play, when I see this tight end crossing into my area, I have to react to him as my closest receiving threat. Once I see this safety take over, I know that he's no longer my responsibility, and then I will then turn my attention to the only other receiver in the area on the field. And you can see how I played the zone that I was supposed to play the entire time, but I also did it in a way that gave me a lot of freedom to react to what I saw. And this is the same when it comes to run defenses. You're going to want to use a defender that has the most flexibility once again, but you're also going to make sure you start the play about 8 to 10 yards away from the line of scrimmage, as this will allow you to shoot gaps much more effectively, as blockers typically don't target you when you're this far away. Before I continue though, I want to first talk to my sports bettors out there, as I recently partnered up with Parlay, which is an app on your phone that lets you play the over-under on specific player stats in any given game. You guys can play for free to check it out, or if you want to, you can deposit up to $100 to get a $100 deposit match plus a $5 free game by using code MONEYSHOT. Links in the description below. Now that you're in user coverage, you also want to make sure that you're using the switch stick, as a lot of times you can't sprint to the area that you need to get to fast enough if you see a play developing. On this next play here, once the play starts, I'm covering nobody at all, and since all the receivers are on the left side of the field, all I have to do is switch stick to the left, and now I'm right in the middle of the coverage as I almost get an interception. If it's intimidating to try to cover the entire field, the easiest way to do it is to split the field in half before the play starts. On this next play here, since I'm running a matching cover 3, I know that these defenders are going to match their receivers, so that basically just leaves me to cover this receiver one-on-one. Once the play starts though, I know that I made a mistake to step too far inside, so instead of trying to run after him to catch him, all I have to do is switch stick up to the safety that's covering over the top, as I know that he was always there as my backup plan anyway. As this is just an extension of usering anyways, all you really want to do is make sure you're watching for which receiver is getting the most space. If we watch these receivers here on the left side of the field, none of them really immediately get space off the line except for this corner route once again. So since he's the only one getting space, I know he's going to be the read, so all I have to do is switch stick up, and that gives me the best opportunity to undercut this route. Next up, if you're playing against somebody that likes to run with their quarterback a lot, this can be a massive headache unless you know how to handle it properly. Some people think that QB contains are the best way to go, but in my opinion, one of the best ways to handle mobile quarterbacks and to improve your pass rush is by using a QB spy, which you can typically get in your coverage adjustment simply by hitting the right stick to the left. Once you put them in a QB spy, their main responsibility will be to follow the quarterback around, and once he leaves the pocket or once he passes the line of scrimmage, they will go after him automatically. But if you see them rolling out and you want to send this player prematurely, all you have to do is push on the right stick and it will send them after the quarterback right away. Just make sure you put a fast or your best coverage linebacker or defensive end in this position, or a lot of times they'll be going against a quarterback that'll be too fast for them anyway, and it won't really matter. Now you can do this in your depth chart, but it's probably best to do it by hitting Y or triangle over the formation that you're using, so you can do a manual substitution and make sure that you have the best player in the right spot. I find it's best to substitute one of your rushing linemen rather than somebody in coverage, as you don't want to mess up the matching principles of the coverage that you're using. So I typically do it in this defensive end spot here. Now these clips are all from a defensive video that I put out last week, so if you guys need a better defense, I'll have links to that popping up on screen right now, as well as links to the depth chart video that I talked about earlier, so just click that. And other than that, thanks for watching, man. My shit out. Need more help or just want to show your support? Then head over to my Patreon and join my team, where you can get exclusive content like ebooks and bonus plays, as well as early access to my vids and more. Link in the description below.